There's a bear running straight at a group of photographers. And one photographer just starts running at it, screaming. And he ran right to it. And that bear was like, holy, I'm out of here.
Really?
Yeah, and he just turned sharp. I think fear creates, makes everything uncomfortable, right?
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. We are back, guys. Digital Social Hour. Got with me a legend in the building, Jay Brewer. What's up, man?
Not much. About yourself?
Doing well, man. I'm not going to lie. I thought you'd bring a snake.
I wish I could have, but I'm here, in Vegas visiting.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm like, I could have brought a snake, but I couldn't because I have nowhere to keep it.
Right.
I got to think about the animal. So today I'm hanging out in Vegas and I thought, hey, I caught it. We were talking about catching up and I thought, where are you at? My friend said, he's in Vegas. And I'm like, no way. So that's why boom, here we are.
Man. Can you even bring a snake on a plane?
Oh, you can. But you have to, it has to be shipped separately. You can't put it in your lap like a carry-on dog.
Dude, I see your videos. I mean, how big do these snakes actually get?
Well, I actually specialize in the largest type of snake in the world called reticulated python.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the social media don't really realize where I started from, but I've always been passionate about animals. And these reticulated pythons are the largest, and I've just always liked them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you've noticed, but all those snakes come in all these different colors, from black to orange to yellow to striped. Well, that's how I started. It was my passion, and I genetically bred them for different colors because there would be one found in the wild that was yellow, one found orange, one found striped, one found with bands, and one with all broken patterns, you could say. And then we'd take those and breed them together. And so I was kind of a leading person in that particular snake. So me and one of my employees named Tim made about 300 first in the world ever seen colors of those in the beginning. But we've kind of backed off a little bit because ever since things slowed down, got really busy with the social thing and all the followings and so I just mostly focusing on the zoo and trying to do the social thing as good as I can.
Nice.
So
like
running.
I think I saw one video did the snake get up to 20 feet?
Oh, I have ones over 20 feet.
That's crazy. That's 4 of me.
They weigh up to 300 plus pounds too.
Oh
it's I've got a lot of really giant ones because I've been doing it for so many years. A lot of people don't realize that how big they even get.
Wow.
They're supposed to get a lot bigger, but I'm starting to wonder now that I'm been doing it for so many years.
Yeah.
And everybody's always talked about we're hunting for the 30-foot snake. And and I'm like, I think I would have had one by now. And I think I'd have known somebody with one by now.
Yeah.
I'm not young.
So what do you feed it?
They defrosted rabbits, to be honest.
Defrosted rabbits?
Yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes defrosted pigs. I get them from places that they use the rabbit. They don't, it sounds funny, but the rabbits are used for laboratory use, but they're not used physically to do it. All it is a blood draw, and they use the rabbit's blood here and there. And it's funny, they set them up in the pretty nice size enclosure, and they give them toys. And so, it sounds horrible, but it's not. It's not like, you always think of laboratory things and, they got things hanging out of their heads and all the horrible things. That some of the stuff they do is just gnarly.
That's funny.
But that's not what they do with these. It's just literally a blood draw, once a month, and they take the blood and do things with the blood outside.
So you don't feed them live animals?
We have to sometimes when they're newborns. Sometimes we have to feed them baby mice, mice, rats.
To train them?
Just to get them on the scent. Right. Because I've been breeding these snakes for 30 years. Some of them, and so if you have a snake it's like a dog, right? A dog naturally came out of the wild, right? It was a wild, crazy dog. Coyote, you can't go grab a coyote and put it in, and turn it into a pet overnight, right? So years of breeding them and being accustomed to humans and all that, they come somewhat domesticated. So the snakes, a lot of my snakes will eat frozen. They don't care because they no longer have the fear of a wild snake. That's why they don't attack. You know, when they strike at me, it's usually a female, and you know, social media is kind of funny, right? So I could take 50 videos, right? Yeah. And every one of them can be identical, but one of them, the snake strikes at me, right? Well, all of a sudden, it's the only one you ever see, right? Because you know how it is. When it goes viral, right?
You want to see the blood.
Yeah, you know, so nobody sees the educational ones unless they dive deep, where it's like about how cool the snakes are. And, you know, we got to do a lot of fun stuff with those big snakes because they're so docile. And, you know, I mean, we're going to be doing the Lakers on the 21st. They're having they have like a family party thing that they do, and it's really
snakes.
Yeah, it's cool. We bring snakes, alligators, all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah.
And they don't bite people?
Well, first of all, we tape their mouth bite because it's state law. But in real life, a lot of the gators are so accustomed to being held that they don't have an issue.
Oh, so you've domesticated them
to some degree, right? I mean, humans aren't domesticated. We just learned that this week. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, so I mean, obviously there's a beast in everything to some degree, and if you know, and it's whether, you know, so, but yeah, so most of the animals that I work with are multi-generation in captivity. You know, they're used for educational purposes. They interact with people. I have plenty of animals that can prove that they like humans. I have a big lizard that I literally click my fingers and hold my hand out and go like this, and he comes down and puts his head in to be petted. Wow. No food, no trickery.
That's the Komodo dragon?
No, it's actually called an Asian water monitor. Okay. His name is Gilly. He's all black. Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot, you know, animals are kind of like people. I mean, you know, you get some people that are just not easy to get along with, you know, and you get other people that are like easy to get along with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you believe you could form emotional connections with these animals?
No, I know you can. Yeah.
They remember you?
I've seen some of your podcasts, and some of the whole idea of your aura and power and all that it's real. I mean, there's no and ifs or buts. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can walk into somewhere where an animal is normally aggressive, and it's not aggressive to me.
Really?
Yeah. I just, you know, I don't want to sound like you know, but at the end of the day, you know, you cast out your emotion, and it can go beyond. It goes beyond your facial expressions, I believe.
Right. So you have that Cesar Millan power with wild animals.
He's incredible. I you know, when I went and did a podcast with Cesar, right? Yeah. And you know, I mean, even though I'm an animal guy, I don't expect people to have a fully complete understanding of animals as much as I just can't tell you how many people I've met that are good with animals. They don't know how they're good, including myself. I didn't even understand 100% of it, right? And then when I met Cesar, he like, I was like, holy cow, this guy really understands humans, animals, the human, you know, flight, you know, the whole, he really, what he's talking about is real stuff. Yeah. And it fits across the whole level. No, he actually is way, when I met him, I was blown away. I didn't expect this. I really just didn't expect the podcast to go how it did, because I just didn't think I didn't think it would be that deep of a connection of understanding each other. I thought I was going, you know, a little bit because I had a lot of followers, you know, didn't talk to him a lot. And we started talking. It was like, he realized I knew what I was talking about, right? Yeah. And I realized he knew the heck what he was talking about. You know what I mean? Because you can't understand it unless you do it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know.
That's awesome.
You know, you can't a Super Bowl, a person that's got a couple Super Bowl rings can't explain to a person that's dreaming about being a Super Bowl player, you know, in a Super Bowl, to explain like what feeling like the zone is. You know what I mean? Like how life can get you where you're just like, it's almost surreal. That's awesome. That's why I use the term living the dream.
Yeah, it must be something about your aura that just makes these animals feel comfortable.
I think it's the lack of fear. I think fear creates, makes everything uncomfortable, right? You're doing a business deal and you're worried about this guy. Well, he's going to think, you know, trust me. Should I not trust him? You see how simple that whole, you talk about aura. I mean, it cast. It cast, you know, when you walk in somewhere and you look and you feel it, you're like, wow, I feel the tension in here. You can cut it. How many times you heard that word?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can you cut something that isn't real? How
That's
can
true.
you even create a name that the tension is here so real?
Yeah. So if you're in the woods and you see a bear, you're not going to be feared at all?
Oh, I wouldn't say I wouldn't be worried, but worried's not going to help me.
Right.
It's going to cause me to make poor decisions, right?
Yeah.
And so if I take off running, that was a poor decision. That's created by fear, right?
Yeah.
And if you run from a bear, what it's going to chase.
Yeah.
So, but if you all of a sudden run up to, you know, instead you approach the bear. I watched a video. It's viral. I'm be surprised nobody's seen it. And there's a bear running straight at a group of photographers, and one photographer just starts running at it, screaming, and he ran right to it. And that bear was like, "Holy, I'm out of here."
Really?
Yeah, and he just turned sharp.
Wow.
And if he would have ran the other way, that bear was on. He was locked in.
Yeah, you're not running.
No, he was locked into you know. He was locked in for not something you want to be there at.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so, I mean, fear typically is never a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having an understanding and respect, but that's not really fear.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to get on a motorcycle because I have a respect that it's very dangerous. You know what I mean? And people jump on motorcycles every day, but they freak out about me holding some non-venomous python that I've been working with for 30 years, that I grew up from a baby, you know? So our minds are not always very balanced.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen some of your comments. They're pretty funny.
Oh, it's fun. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, you know.
It's part of the game on social media. You're going to get hate no matter what.
Oh, hate is, you know what? If you're not getting hate, then you're not making people even question reality.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you just go with the status quo, there's no pressure. I mean, it's just, we're just in a bucket going that direction.
Yeah, there's no value.
You don't bring any value.
Yeah.
Because you're not changing anything. You're not going to be a game changer and not change what people think. And what people think is not easy to change because we're like programmed. I mean, we're like, we want to protect ourselves. We don't want to take risk. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want, I mean, there's so many things. And the funny part is it's true with animals too. They don't want to be wrong and get eaten.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is it any different? I mean, people always, these snakes should be free in the wild. Well, the funny part in the wild, they're on the threatened species list not because they have 100 eggs at a time or 40 eggs at a time. I mean, something that has 40 eggs at a time could never be on the threatened species list except that everything eats them. Right?
You're talking about snakes?
Yeah.
Everything eats them?
Like my pythons, yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody sees a 20-foot python and go, well, that thing has no predators. It started out this big.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything eats something. It's like a fish can eat it, an alligator eat it, a bird can eat it, a rat can eat it. I mean, I could just go on all day, all the things that the wild is literally the wild. It's not, nature's not a pretty place.
Yeah, for sure. Have you had any encounters with wild animals that kind of went south?
I've been very lucky. I went to Komodo Island, and to be honest, I was shocked that I was around so many giant dragons. I mean, they're big enough to just, try to pull you off into the corner and just eat you.
I saw one swallow a baby goat the other day.
Yeah. On the Real Tarzan's page. Yeah. He shares a lot of wild stuff all over that he gets off the internet. and I mean, the fact of the matter is they're just massive beasts, but they were in a village, and because they were in a village, they learned their boundaries. Like, so that when I got there, it was a trip. I mean, they still had all the hunting instincts. They still eat things like that goat you're talking about.
Yeah.
But they knew that humans weren't on the menu.
Wow.
And so none of them chased me. And I was pretty surprised because we went way deep outside of the village, and they still had like you're big and you're big enough to be maybe a problem to me, so I'm just going to back off. You know what I mean?
Man, those things are huge.
But I don't know if I would have taken off running. I don't know what might have happened. You know?
They're pretty fast, aren't they?
Oh, I thought I could outrun one, and we basically drug like a piece of wood for a target.
Yeah.
And And I was like, I got this perfect, you know, you want to do, I mean, we do social media, so you understand you want things to look good. So I'm like, well, we'll run the dragon like this, and I'll just be right here ahead of it, but off the track of what he's chasing. So that, and then if he decides to chase me, now I got to actually get out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And because he could just lock in on my foot or my leg and decide, oh, he's running.
Yeah.
He's running for me. I'm hungry. And I fell down 3 times trying to, and I could not stay in front of that dragon. It is one of my friends was just pants laughing at me.
Oh, man.
I mean, when you have a 250-pound, 10-foot lizard that's got venom, because they're venomous, chasing.
Oh, they're venomous?
Oh, they're venomous.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well,
That's
there's a
even
lot of
scarier.
things people don't know. I mean, I learned so much that I didn't, there's always been a debate whether they're venomous or not venomous, and the saliva will kill you in a few days.
Yeah.
Well, the truth of the matter is they drug you because they're venomous, and then they just maul you, right?
Wow.
And so, some of the big animals, they just, when they're bitten, the reason why they don't run away is because they can't. And so they
that
just,
baby goat.
yeah, right. Well, the goat, when they're baby goats, reptiles like to eat things whole for the most part.
Yeah.
And I say for the most part because monitor lizards will eat like things. I mean, they literally eat water buffalo that are 1,000 pounds.
Holy
They can't
crap.
swallow a water buffalo, right? You know
Yeah.
what they say. An elephant, the way you eat an elephant is a little bite at a time, right?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, so at the end of the day, I learned so much. I didn't know that Komodo dragons protect their eggs. And, I mean, do they protect their eggs, or they know that wild boar are going to come try to eat their eggs?
Right.
So therefore, it's a great place to wait around for lunch. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it works both ways.
I've actually eaten wild boar.
Oh, yeah. Well, the wild part was when I went to Komodo, we went out in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And they go, we'll go to the nesting area. Because the nesting areas, they like to hang out there because some of them have nests. And we went out there in the middle of the night, and it was kind of spooky realizing, I pull snake eggs, right?
Yeah.
And these snakes are multi-generation captive born, and still 1 out of 5 will want to rock my world because they're like, hey, I trust you, but I don't trust you enough to take my eggs, right?
Right.
Because that's just so instinctually deep. So here I am in the middle of the night with a light, and there's a Komodo dragon, and I'm thinking to myself, that thing charges me in pitch dark. That's pretty gnarly. You know what I mean? But again, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Looking more.
Dude, you
So
got some balls.
sometimes a little stupid, people always say, oh, you got giant balls. And I'm like, maybe it's I have a little brain.
That's another way of looking at it, right?
But you know what? I mean, somehow I'm still alive, and I know, that obviously things can go wrong doing anything. I mean, I've lost tons of friends on motorcycles. I was a commercial fisherman. I lost friends commercial fishing.
Fishing?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, when you're out, I mean, I one time was in a boat. When I started my life out as an orphan, and I built a boat when I was 14, finished it when I was 15, became a commercial fisherman. Well, imagine a 15-year-old in a boat that he built going out 40 miles, 50 miles.
Right.
In an ocean that gets, one time I got caught in a 100-mile-an-hour wind in that boat.
Holy crap.
And everybody wrote me off as dead.
Wow.
And I literally thought I was going to die. And luckily, for whatever reason, I've never been scared of death. I think it's because I believe that we're spiritual beings living in this world, and that this is just a temporary place. So I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why I feel that way. And so I've never been fearful of death. I don't want it. I don't want to hunt it. I'm not looking for it. I want to make an impact on the planet as positive as I can. Mm-hmm. And so why would I want to live risky? And a lot of people think I do, but I don't really believe I do. I think I live within within the reason of knowledge that I understand.
Yeah. It's subjective. I mean, you're an expert in what you know. So
Right.
for normal people, they think it's risky.
You stick me on a motorcycle and me and somebody else might die. No, you know what I mean? Because I mean, when I was very young, it's funny, I've only met one person ever in my life. When I was really young, I got on a mini bike, and I tweaked it and got it to go super fast.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had no governor.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Like in my mind, like nothing scared me, and I realized, don't ever ride motorcycles. You're gonna die. And it wasn't that I was scared of riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
It was just, I knew it would be a bad life choice for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds really funny, you know? It's like, there's some things you just not, you know, you just should have a little bit of fear for it.
Yeah.
You know? And I wouldn't call it fear still, I'd call it respect. And I just, sometimes some things I just don't have enough respect for. And I didn't have enough respect for getting bit for a venomous snake. But when I was 22, I learned really quick what that felt like.
Oh, you got bit?
I almost died.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
it was one you were breeding?
no, I was out in the wilderness and, you know, I got bit. I'd caught in a couple of them, barehanded, you know.
Wow.
And I just never thought they were that dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just thought, you know, like, oh yeah, you get sick, no big deal. You know, I'm invincible. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you're 23 years old, you know everything. You're invincible.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I was on the top of my game. I had a lot. I had started my own business at, you know, I mean, I was no mom, no dad, nobody helping. I'd created my own little, you know, world, had 3 cars. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, kind of like for somebody from the bottom, it was very successful.
For sure.
I mean, you know, I always, and basically, I was flipping this giant piece of metal with a guy, and it had 5 rattlesnakes underneath it, and one of them decided to come towards us, and I didn't want to drop the metal.
Right.
And this one decided, "Who are you?" and it just basically coiled up, and I blocked its bite one time, and then I pinned its neck, and I had you know, this was forever ago when Vans were, you know, $6, I think I paid for my Vans, and
yeah.
I had a pair of Vans, the regular old, you know, slip-on Vans,
yeah.
and one fang just went right in my foot on the side of my foot, and I was like, oh, bummer, and I was like, nah, no big deal, I'll just go home. Told my friend, maybe we ought to go home. Yeah, well, as we were driving home, I said, maybe we ought to drive by a hospital, and then we went by a construction site. I said, maybe we better call 911. And I almost died. I was 7 days intensive care.
Oh my
big,
gosh.
you know, big page of, you know, clinging to my life and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And it was a pretty intense event.
Wow, this was in Cali?
Which gave me some respect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
It made me understand that I didn't know what I thought I know, and that's when you can get hurt.
Yeah,
you gotta, you know. I take calculated risks. What I like to say, you know.
Wow, so you valued their lives over yours in that moment.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I've had a yeah, because I mean, I truly, even though my animals eat animals, even though I eat animals, even though I still think every animal needs to be treated with respect as much as possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sometimes people wouldn't, you know, a lot of people don't agree with me about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I watch the education and, you know, I mean, people pick on SeaWorld, right?
A lot, yeah.
But when I was a kid, nobody cared about any of those animals. They shot them, they ate them, they did whatever they needed to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, and people did it for sport, for fun. And then SeaWorld came along, educated the whole world, showed us how amazing animals are, and everything's protected because of it. You know what I mean? And so there's a cost of everything, right? You go to the hospital and they're running experiments, people die, you know, people are dying of cancer every day. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't beat up a hospital because it's bad, because people die there, and you can't beat up SeaWorld because they were the only reason why. I mean, half the people that beat up SeaWorld are biologists, and they weren't biologists, but until SeaWorld made it a big deal to become that.
Dude, they got so much hate. Are they still in business?
Yeah, they're still all over. They just opened a new one out.
Oh, they did?
In Abu Dhabi.
I thought I saw something where they gave up all their whales or something.
I think they gave up their whales. I think they agreed to give up the whales.
Well, whales and the sharks are a tough one because I feel like it's tough to have that much space for them to be happy, right?
Sharks is a touchy subject with me just because I know how many sharks there really are.
What do you mean?
Well, I remember one time I went out shark fishing, right?
Yeah.
And it was for a thrasher shark. Well, thrasher sharks are everywhere. You can commercially fish them. You know what I mean? They're everywhere.
Okay.
And they taste good. You eat them just like you would any other fish in the ocean. And everybody just got down on me, you know? And I was like, you realize that these are more abundant than cattle or growing. I mean, they're literally in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So there's no chemicals to grow them. We're not cutting down the rainforest to make it. We're not. I mean, there's so many things that people don't think about, right?
Right.
And they're so abundant, but you know, and I am so against finning. It's not even funny.
What's finning?
Finning is when they go catch sharks, cut their fins off, and throw them back in.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, and they don't save any of the meat. That's nuts.
Wouldn't that them?
Yeah, exactly. They just all die. So just slaughtered them.
Jeez.
And that's when it became uncool to go shark fishing, or you know, and so there are plenty of animals in the world that need to be managed, but you can't manage one and not the other.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't take all the management off a shark. Like, okay, sharks are protected, right? Eventually, you have no fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no balance because you got fishermen intervening. You know, it's like in California, the seals are outrageously overpopulated. And so because the seals are overpopulated, the fish counts are way down and the seals are way sick. You know what I mean? Then the white sharks start to come up, which are protected, which should be because there's not very many. But now, you know, whales are eating them, orcas are eating them. And there's a couple pods of orcas. It's so complicated, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
all a balance, right?
You know what? You have to manage your own life. And if you're going to manage the earth, you got to manage the earth.
Yeah.
You can't make everything illegal because if you do, all of a sudden it's out of balance, right?
So it's illegal to catch a shark right now?
No. In some places they make it.
Okay.
And you know what? In some places it needs to be illegal.
Right.
Right? I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's, you know, just be willy-nilly and do whatever humans want to do because we don't make good choices as
Can't argue that one.
No, you know what I mean? But also we make poor choices on knee jerks. You know what I mean? So we need to like stand back and go, hey, is everything in balance here?
Right.
And we need to do that in our own lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Turtles endangered. I saw you have some tortoises and turtles, right?
Yeah, I have some I have an endangered Galapagos tortoise. And, you know, I think they're great, and I think it's really great that they're not taken out of the wild.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it'd be better if we were able to, you know, if I have one and somebody else has one in Arizona, I think we should be able to breed those two together and make more in captivity, but they make laws to prevent that from happening.
Huh, that's weird. Why would they prevent that?
I don't know. We'd have to ask the federal government.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
The federal government made a law about it? Wow. That's interesting.
It's called Lacey Act. You can't take endangered species across state lines. I think the idea is simple, but I think it's kind of the past.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like, okay, well, if you can't take it across state lines, then every state you cross is another place you can get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And smuggling animals, but animals that are in captivity, I don't think they should be managed like that. I think that they should be allowed to let them. I mean, I found that even in the snakes and reptiles that weren't endangered, right? They were in captivity. They're so abundant that now nobody needs them out of the wild. You know what I mean? They're nice animals. They're accustomed to being in captivity. They're very calm, cool, collect.
Yeah.
A snake spends most of its time hiding to eat. That's the idea. Is it hides to keep from getting eaten, and it hides to find its food. Because as rodents go by, they grab them, and then now they have what they need, and they don't come out unless they really are for breeding and other reasons. So you don't even see many snakes.
Right.
That's why.
I barely see them.
Yeah, but they're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so in captivity, it's an animal that doesn't require much space. They don't. You know, if we open this door here, I guarantee you, I put a 10-foot snake. If I put two 10-foot snakes in this room, they will be living inside this cabinet if there's a hole in to get to it.
Wow.
And they'll spend 90% of their time there.
Wow. So they're very easy to manage.
Yeah, they just like they people go, that doesn't seem right, and I'm like, well, we don't live in the wild anymore, do we? There's a reason why we don't live in the wild.
Yeah.
All you got to do is go outside, and you know why? Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's cold. Oh my gosh, what was that sound?
Yeah.
I mean, lions and tigers roaring, and I mean, you hear them at night, and you never want to, coyotes. You realize this is not a good place. And the first thing you're going to go do is crawl into a small area. And what do? When we live in the middle of our big cities, and we go home, we lock our door, and then we go into a room, right? A smaller room inside that room, and then we go in our bed, and then most of us like to even be covered up with our sheets. Yeah. But then we don't understand that an animal, we think that these animals are like so much different, but they really aren't.
That's true. I've seen you with every animal, lions, giraffes, tigers.
I've been really, really, really lucky guy. I've been able to go all over the world. I've been in royal palaces. They share their animals with me. And it's absolutely insane, some of the stuff I got to do. Mm-hmm. That's why the contrast from having no mom, no dad, nowhere to live, basically, to literally being in some of the most amazing houses all over the world in every country. Yeah. And I'm in awe. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm in awe.
It's a crazy story, man.
No, it doesn't even make sense. Yeah. It makes no sense. And I just sit there and think, this isn't by accident. I'm not suggesting I did it.
I know what you mean. I think everything happens for a reason.
I really do. Some of the worst things in my life growing up, I have a lot of stories of not good things that happened in my life. Yeah. And every one of them, something great came from.
I think that's what contributed to your success, honestly.
Yeah, but I never allowed anything to stop me. Yeah. And when I say that, I never allowed, make it sound like it's all about me. But what I mean is I never gave up the spirit of I can do this. It's going to come together. Mm-hmm. And I just think that there's some real serious power in believing in your dreams and believing. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't believe you can do something, will you ever really put in enough percentage of your ability to ever do it? We all want to succeed, right? Right. But we listen to people that you talked about haters earlier, right? Yeah. Well, if you're doing something, you're going to have haters. And if you listen to them, they're going to make you believe that they're right. Mm-hmm. And if they tell you you're doing, you don't know what you're talking about, you're risking your life, you're all these things that are, some of them sound logical, but inside. And if you know inside and you're willing to just kind of think, what does tomorrow look like if I wasn't worried about trying to get that job that I don't think I'm qualified for, but maybe I am because I really feel like I'm good at it. You know what I mean? Or be that basketball player or be whatever. I mean, I just think you got to do whatever you're good at as hard as you can do it, and you'll end up in places you never dream.
Absolutely. Do what you can control, Don't think about the other stuff.
The other stuff works its way out. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations where there was no way I could get all the problems solved if I sat down and looked at the problems. But I could see past to get me closer to the goal. Yep. And I would just think, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about the impossible part. I'm going to do what's possible. Mm-hmm. And I kept working on what's possible. And half the time, they worked me right past the impossible. I didn't even need to do that because I found a different angle, a different way. And I only got it because I got the perspective of moving forward kind of by faith. You know what I mean? By whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, step by step.
Yeah.
It's been fun, man. Before we wrap up, if you can own any animal that you haven't already owned, what animal would
Komodo
it be?
dragon.
Ooh, love that.
Just because I know I could have a relationship with it, and I know that sounds really weird, but a relationship that's deep enough that it would know who I am, I know who it is, it would come to me for, it would be, it's like a dog. Wow. I think it's deeper than a dog in some ways, but damn. No, I guess that's not fair to say because dogs are pretty. They have another side of them that's like the loving side that a lot of animals can't portray as good as a dog. I mean,
yeah, dogs are loyal, man.
They are loyal. Yeah. And so I guess that's a little bit of a far step, I've had a few dogs, but it will still, like, literally come over for affection.
Yeah.
And I guess being able to give is something that's fun in life. I think a lot of people don't realize that giving is the most rewarding thing you can ever do.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except that if they stop and think when they get, then they can realize how important giving is.
Yeah.
And so having an animal that, you have a relationship enough that it'll come over just to be petted, just to be touched. It's kind of like a bond, and you're able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's kind of a cool animal.
It's been fun, man. Where can people find you?
Everything I do is Prehistoic Pets, and then the reptile zoo my daughter does, and that's the name of my company.
Nice. Where's the zoo at?
It's in Fountain Valley, California, or about 15 minutes from Disneyland.
Okay. I got to check it out next time I'm out there.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
No, next time you're out there, I thought you were going today.
I'm going to San Diego. Is it by there?
Yeah, it's only it's 45 minutes, 50 minutes away.
Let's make it happen. All right. Thanks for coming on, man.
Pleasure.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching as always. See you next time.